Chapter 41 The double Quasi-Emperor Easter egg comes from Mom's love. You are listening at novelfull.audio. After directly increasing the total number of steps from more than 3,000 to more than 13,000, Li Congxin finally strolled to the back mountain. Come on, this time, he walked 3 times the distance he took in 3 days. However, he felt it was not a loss. When I arrived at the back mountain, I discovered that here is a sea of flowers growing on the cliffs. Standing in the fragrant sea of flowers, you can see the sea of clouds and waves in front of you, and the scenery is picturesque. On the cliff, there is a cave. The egg those 2 elders were talking about must be in this cave. Chu Fij was about to move forward when he was pushed backwards by a blooming light flower at the entrance of the cave. He said in shock, "Young master, there is a seal at the entrance of the cave." Take a closer look. At the entrance of the cave, sparkling light appeared, and a light curtain like a door curtain gradually emerged. There seemed to be vast waves of smoke flowing away from the light curtain, and ancient and exotic flowers bloomed one after another. He exclaimed, "This is the Jinghua Yan Meng seal. I have only seen this kind of seal in a broken ancient book. It is an emperor-level seal. After all, she is the daughter of destiny and destiny in this world, and she knows a lot about it." Li Congxin responded, "At a glance, the light curtain on the cave is like a piece of colored paper lit by fire, constantly burning and turning into embers." Chu Fij's beautiful eyes were filled with shock. If Li Congxin broke the seal with one punch, she would accept it. An emperor-level seal could be shattered at a glance. What kind of strength is this? What grade is it? Invincible can only be described with these 2 words. Li Congxin walked into the cave slowly with his hands behind his back. As long as it was within the Taigan Holy Land, he could burn everything no matter how strong it was with a single thought. This is the absolute realm, absolutely invincible. Such a big one, that he had known there was an egg in the cave, but when he saw it, Li Congxin was still shocked. In the cave, like a night hall with flashing neon lights, there is a big Easter egg that can hold both him and Chu Fij. The bright shell releases colorful rays of light. What kind of egg is this? Chu Fij asked curiously. Should be. Li Cong thought for a long time before he said one word, artificial egg. This egg is called dragon and phoenix egg, not because it contains dragon seeds and phoenixes, but because it is related to the names of Falling Dragon Holy Land and Falling Phoenix Holy Land. Because the 2 ancestors of the 2 holy lands were completely dead, this egg also completely lost its soul and became a kind of spiritual treasure. The flowers are old and rare, can't they be poisonous? Li Congxin touched the big Easter egg with his hand, and a piece of information that had been left in it for a long time and that only he could receive turned into 3-dimensional colorful pictures and was transmitted to his brain. Looking at those colorful pictures, Li Congxin's face gradually showed warmth, smiling slightly. "It turns out that this egg is the second gift my mother prepared for me. 17 years ago, in the struggle for hegemony in the world, major holy places perished one after another, because Taigan Holy Land is too powerful. Just like Yi Cangqiong and Xiao Wuye want to attack Li Congxin, the 2 ancestors of Zhuilong and Luofeng Holy Land are secretly arranging a vicious plan to kill Li Tianba, and at this time, a goddess with moon-shaped eyes and a majestic charm. But she is also a beautiful woman dressed in black hair and a gorgeous bun. She stands on the sky, everything is in her eyes, with a wave of his sleeves, time, space, and all things in the 2 holy places of Falling Dragon and Falling Phoenix were brought to a standstill. Then, she walked into the 2 holy places like that, and abducted the ancestors of the 2 holy places like carrying 2 old onions. Then we came to the cave in the back mountain of Iran Peak. From now on, let Congxin live in this mountain peak." After saying something to myself, she used her spiritual power to transform into a colorful eggshell, then stretched out a jade finger, and with just a slight movement, she used a magical technique that had never been seen in the 9 heavens and 10 earths to forcibly remove the 2 ancestors' cultivation. In order to be separated from the body and soul, it was forcibly introduced into the egg shell. Then, a series of mysterious powers were poured into it, and it was refined into a large Easter egg that was edible, 100% absorbable, and would not cause rejection. Afterwards, the woman threw the bodies of the 2 old men outside the cave, and used a spell to seal the cave. When he left, he glanced at the corpses of the 2 ancestors and said coldly, We are fighting for hegemony in the world. The winner is the king and the loser is the bandit. You two want to plot against my husband. No matter how I treat you, it is completely reasonable. But, I owe you two a debt of gratitude by making the two of you into spiritual treasures to help my son grow up in the future. One code equals one code. Therefore, I promise you that in the future, Taigon Holy Land will not attack the two holy lands of Zhuilong and Luofeng. As long as the two holy lands do not commit suicide, they will definitely allow you and millions of disciples and descendants to live in Tianqin continent. There is always a place to live. After saying that, he drifted away like an immortal. Li Congxin fell briefly into that stunning face. That woman is Xue Tianyao, his mother. In this way, I did not violate my mother's oath by killing Yi Tsangqiong and Xiao Wulie, because they committed suicide on their own. Touching the big Easter egg, Li Congxin smiled warmly. Now he knows, this dragon and phoenix egg contains, the cultivation levels of two quasi-emperors. Prepared for him, because he was a loser when he was born, according to common sense, he would never be able to fly on his own. Therefore, his mother helped him prepare the strength of a quasi-emperor when he was only a few months old. When he was 18 years old, he went straight from useless material to quasi-emperor. Haohan, Li Congxin was also secretly shocked. To turn two quasi-emperors into an egg, how powerful must his mother be? At the same time, he began to be curious. The cultivation of two quasi-emperors plus the best thunder spirit root is equivalent to directly becoming the existence of the top level in this world. I remember that my father said that his mother prepared 3 gifts for him. I don't know what the third one is. I am looking forward to it. Mother's love is boundless. He sighed, there is only one good mother in the world. With a wave of his hand, he put the big Easter egg into the storage ring. Since it is a gift from his mother, of course he has to accept it. Ding. The system is being upgraded. The upgrade failed. The upgrade failed. The 98th upgrade. The system upgrade was successful. Li Congxin smiled calmly. I knew it would be like this. His mother gave him such a big gift. Can the unyielding system endure it? It must be quite irritating. Congratulations, you have obtained a luxurious gift of cultivation. Prompt, do you want to receive it? My mother gave me 2 quasi-emperor cultivations. Can you give me more than my mother gave me? Li Congxin did not confirm, but had a playful smile on his face. I have been told that my background is very strong and my foundation is super solid. I can soar into the sky just by lying down. It really doesn't matter whether I want the system or not, the system is being upgraded. The upgrade failed. The upgrade failed. The 86th upgrade, the system upgrade was successful. Congratulations, you have received another luxury gift of cultivation. The system is being upgraded. The upgrade failed. The upgrade failed. The 66th upgrade, the system upgrade was successful. Congratulations, you have received another luxury gift of cultivation. Li Congxin was happy. It's anxious, ding, the system has automatically received 3 luxury gifts of cultivation for the host. Reminder, you have received 100,000 years of cultivation. Reminder, you have received 120,000 years of cultivation. Reminder, you have received 140,000 years of cultivation. Boom. Boom. Boom boom boom. With 3 system prompts, Li Congxin's body was like sesame blossoms, and he kept bursting out upgrade brilliance. There was no prompt for the small realm upgrade, and he kept breaking through the shackles of the big realm. Prompt, you have broken through the martial emperor realm. Prompt, you have broken through the martial saint realm. Prompt, you have broken through the quasi-emperor realm. Prompt, your cultivation has reached the peak of the quasi-emperor. 360,000 years of cultivation refers to the gains of an ordinary cultivator who has practiced in seclusion for 360,000 years. With the addition of these 360,000 years of cultivation, Li Congxin's cultivation soared. He soared to the peak of the quasi-emperor. Chu Fiji was so shocked that she retreated wildly, her back pressed against the wall of the cave. What's going on? The power of the wild is leaking wildly. Is she possessed? She didn't dare to think about breaking through the 3 realms in 1 second. System, are you serious? Feeling the real and vast imperial power contained in his body, the terrifying power that can destroy thousands of miles of rivers and mountains with a flick of a finger, Li Congxin was very happy. At this moment, even if he didn't open the absolute domain, he could fight the god of war Li Qingfeng for 3 days and 3 nights without being defeated. The premise is that he must not open 100,000 times critical strike, otherwise, buzz. Outside the cave, the sky was buzzing and the earth was shaking. What's going on? Chu Fij hurried to the entrance of the cave and looked at it, and his face was immediately pale. Young master, the sky is about to collapse. It seems that you have attracted some extremely terrible heavenly tribulation. Boom! The sky above Taiqian Holy Land is already full of thunderclouds, covering the sky and the earth. Sizzle. In the lightning and thunder, the cloud layer is unknown how thick it is, and all living things are trapped in a state of death and oppression, almost suffocating immediately. A red warning-like voice kept ringing. The Emperor Realm Heavenly Tribulation is about to start. The Holy Realm Heavenly Tribulation is about to start. The Quasi-Emperor Heavenly Tribulation is about to begin. 3 tribulations will be punished together. Please prepare for the tribulation. Is it terrible? Li Congxin was not in a hurry. He had the indestructible divine body of the Thunder Soundvitra, so the heavenly tribulation could not blow him up, right? Tip, because this system has done too many unscrupulous and immoral things, it has long aroused the anger of the heaven, so this heavenly tribulation is 100 times more powerful than normal. Li Congxin's mouth twitched. He shouted in his heart, you do immoral things, and you also counted on me. What else? Li Congxin. Ding, special reminder. 3 tribulations will be punished together. Under the 100-fold powerful attack, the defense formation of the Taiqian Holy Land may be damaged, so it is recommended that the host choose another place to cross the tribulation. You idiot. Li Congxin finally cursed. He was lazy and rarely took the initiative. With a wave of his sleeves, the imperial power shook and shattered the empty space barrier in front of him. I'll go and survive the calamity first. When the voice sounded, the man had already rushed into the broken void. Chapter 42, The Heavenly Tribulation is coming with 100 times the power. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The next second, Li Congxin walked out of the broken spacetime barrier and was randomly teleported to the top of a towering mountain. He didn't care where it was, anyway. He was far away from the Taiqian Holy Land, and immediately sat cross-legged on the ground lazily. Come on, he looked up at the sky. Squeak. With the appearance of Li Congxin, on the top of the mountain, in the sky, the wind whistled, the angry clouds rolled, and the might of the 8 directions gathered frantically. The terrifying destructive power instantly filled the world. Boom. Under the night sky, the sky above the originally peaceful Sun Holy Land suddenly gave rise to vast thunderclouds, and strong electricity like dragons and pythons shuttled through the thick clouds, and there was a sound of explosions between heaven and earth. The sound tore the ears of all living beings. The people in the Holy Land were shocked and jumped up one after another. Some people who were practicing were almost scared out of their wits. What's going on? What's going on? In a beautiful building, Li Shuang's curvy body was straight on the incense couch, her hands clasped on her lower abdomen, her long eyelashes gently draped over her eyes, and she was breathing evenly in silence. She was frightened by the thunder and her body trembled. She suddenly opened her beautiful eyes. She hurried to the window to check the situation. Chicha. Chicha. The thunderclouds hovering over the Sun Holy Land kept rolling, and dazzling lightning flashed, and the terrifying aura of destruction spread down, making people feel afraid. Under such a terrifying astronomical phenomenon, the entire Sun Holy Land seemed to be destroyed at any time. Qiyang Peak. All the destructive auras are gathering towards Qiyang Peak. At this time, the disciples of the Sun Holy Land had come out to check the situation. Even the elders sat up in shock from their retreat. Could it be? Although everyone was terrified, they suddenly became excited, and it was an incomparable excitement. This is a sign of the coming of the heavenly tribulation. This kind of powerful power is the first time I have seen it in my 6,000 years of life. It is definitely not an ordinary heavenly tribulation, but a super strong heavenly tribulation that we have never seen before. Qiyang Peak is where their Holy Lord is in seclusion. The Holy Lord has been in seclusion in Qiyang Peak for a long time. Could it be that he finally broke through the shackles and entered a higher realm? It has attracted the heavenly tribulation, so why ask? It must be. Higher realm? The Holy Lord is now a Quasi-Emperor. A higher realm, isn't it the peerless Emperor who can dominate the world and all living beings with the sun, moon and stars above his head and the mountains and rivers under his feet, that when the word Emperor was mentioned, the people of the Sun Holy Land turned from excitement to ecstasy, they couldn't help it at all. Are we dreaming? That some people began to slap themselves in the face. No, the fact has already happened before our eyes. Great! The Holy Lord has broken through the realm and caused a catastrophe. Our Sun Holy Land is finally going to rise and be proud. A white-haired elder even knelt on the ground with a bang, looked up to the sky and cried, 30 years in the east, 30 years in the west. It's finally my Sun Holy Land's turn to play. Because it is looking up from the bottom of the peak, it is like an ant's vision, and you can't see a person sitting on the top of the peak at all. Is Daddy finally going to the next level? Standing in front of the window and looking at the Qiyang Peak where the power of the sky gathers, Ren Liswang also showed surprise in her eyes, clenched her pink fist to encourage and cheer, Daddy, come on. You must come on. A fantasy began to float on her beautiful face. As long as her father entered the realm of the great emperor, she could change her name back, because at that time, she and Li Congxin were a perfect match. She didn't need to be as inferior as she is now in front of Li Congxin. At this moment, in the cave in Qiyang Peak, a middle-aged man wearing a white robe, with a few gray hairs on his ears, extraordinary temperament and a fairy-like state of mind, sensed that the rolling power of heaven was gathering towards the 8 directions of the mountain where he was. Ren Taxing was shocked. The heavenly tribulation is coming. What a powerful heavenly tribulation. What's going on? Is it wrong? Ren Taxing was a little confused, muttering to himself, no, I haven't made any progress at all in my retreat for so long, and there is no sign of breakthrough at all. How could I attract the heavenly tribulation? The Emperor only appears once every million years, and there can only be one in a world. Now Brother Qianba is in his prime, and the destiny and luck of this world have been occupied by him, the Emperor Heba. How could I break through? I also know in my heart that the peak of the Quasi-Emperor is the limit of my achievements in this life. I don't have the appearance of an emperor at all. Suddenly, his expression was lifted again, then, the excitement on his face were so strong that his whole body trembled slightly. Is that so? There have been 6 emperors in a million years, all of whom came from Taiqian Holy Land. Taiqian Holy Land has been the only one for too long, causing the world to be completely unbalanced. So, is it that the heavenly Tao intends to support me and let me step into the realm of the emperor and rule the world side by side with the great Emperor Heba? That he said in an unconfident trembling voice, am I worthy of this honor? Come on. Whether it's thunder or lightning, come quickly. It's just releasing a heavenly tribulation, but you have to gather your power for so long. You're dragging your feet. Do you believe I'll run away? I still have to go home to sleep. On Qiyang Peak, Li Congxin, who was sitting on the ground, raised his head and looked at the sky with great boredom. He had always been casual about everything, and he didn't care about life and death. Besides, he was now 9.9 billion years old, so he didn't believe that the heavenly Tao could kill him. If he was killed, wouldn't it be equivalent to the heavenly Tao itself breaking the rules of heaven and earth? He even had a sudden thought, has the heaven never suffered a loss? Doesn't he know that the cooling time of the big move is too long, and it is easy to be killed before it is released? Buzz. His indifferent look brought a kind of contemptuous temperament, as if it made the heaven even more angry. It was as if a voice of heaven's anger was directly transmitted into his brain. Monster, you still want to kill the heaven. Buzz buzz buzz. Li Congxin's brain was buzzing, and his brain seemed to be shaken into a paste. You get 3,000 heavenly power. You get 3,000 heavenly power. You get 3,000 heavenly power. The system prompts kept ringing, but even from the inside of the body, the sound did not destroy his great thunder sound Vajra indestructible divine body, instead, it was absorbed by him, the power of heaven entering his body as his imperial power, boom. Finally, the thunderclouds thousands of feet thick shook violently, and a thick thunder that flashed the entire night into an extremely bright light explosion rose down with thousands of anger. The explosion sounded, tearing the sky and splitting the earth. Seeing the divine thunder of the heavenly punishment, the people in the Sun Holy Land took a breath of cold air. So thick. So big. Ren Lishuang was pale. This heavenly tribulation is too terrifying, I am afraid that non-humans can resist it. Quickly activate the defense formation in the Holy Land to assist the Holy Lord in overcoming the tribulation. The elders in charge of the defense of the Holy Land were well prepared. At this moment, all the defense formations were activated without hesitation. The next second, boom. 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 The terrifying thunder that looked like a giant dragon of light struck down, and the defense formations of the Sun Holy Land were shattered layer by layer. More than 30 formations were pierced in an instant. It fell apart and shattered. However, the power of the thunder did not weaken at all, and it still bombarded the Qiyang Peak. Seeing this scene, many people fell to the ground in fear. Ren Lishuang's face was pale. Is this the power of the heavenly tribulation when the emperor breaks through? It is said that when Li Tianba broke through, it was indeed extremely terrifying, and some martial emperors and martial saints were frightened on the spot. She cried in her heart, "Daddy, hold on." Chapter 43, Blast the father-in-law to his knees and destroy the family members. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Boom. The thunder struck Li Congxin, boom boom boom, it kept leaking out like a waterfall of light, hitting him crazily. In the middle of the thunder, Li Congxin squinted his eyes, showing an expression of experience and aftertaste. He didn't feel any pain in his flesh and skin, let alone the shattering of bones and organs, and the shock of the soul. On the contrary, he felt very comfortable. You gain 3,000 thunder power. You gain 3,000 thunder power. You gain 3,000 thunder power. Powerful thunderstorms continued to pour into his body, and were all swallowed up by his top-quality thunder spirit roots, becoming the nourishment for tempering his spiritual roots. His thunder spirit roots became stronger and stronger. In the thunderstorm, Li Congxin muttered, "The Quasi-Emperor's tribulation is just like the Great Emperor's tribulation. It is indeed 100 times more powerful. But it's of no use." Listening to the continuous explosions, everyone in Sunlight Holy Land looked nervous, clenched their fists tightly, and their palms were full of sweat. As all the thick thunderbolts fell to the top of Qiyang Peak. Boom! There was a commotion in the Holy Land. Carry it, the Holy Lord can bear it. The Holy Lord has indeed become incredibly powerful after his breakthrough. He actually swallowed up such a terrifying thunder. The powerful emperor is so terrifying, that everyone was dancing and shouting with excitement, even hugging each other for a party. Ren Lishuang pressed his hands tightly on his chest, and he breathed a heavy sigh of relief in his uneasy heart. Just now, she was so scared that her feet were weak, inside Qiyang Peak. I haven't resisted yet. Why did the power of the heavenly tribulation disappear? Ren Taxing, who originally thought heaven is coming to me, looked suspicious, but now he was a little confused. Suddenly, my heart trembled again. Wrong. This is not his calamity. It doesn't mean much. At the top of the mountain, Li Congxin yawned. Heavenly catastrophes are nothing more than lightning strikes, fires, rocks, ice picks and wooden thorns. He has the best spiritual roots of all types, and these powers are of no use to him. On the contrary, it nourished him, or inner demons. But he is protected by the system, and this cannot break his heart. Alas, invincible and helpless. However, this is just the beginning. Wow. In the sky, majestic thunderclouds began to retreat wildly from left to right. The heaven and the earth are opened. Divine power appears. Boom. A square sword condensed from the mighty power of heaven and earth, carrying the vast power of heaven, slowly descended from the sky. The sword is like a celestial river. It is vast, turbulent, and majestic, and its power can penetrate the stars in the universe. Boom, boom, boom. The insertion speed is getting faster and faster. Between heaven and earth, there was the sound of howling wind. Tian Dao also realized that thunder punishment was useless to Li Congxin, and even other spiritual punishments could not hurt him, so he directly condensed a heavenly sword and struck him down angrily. Can this still happen? Looking at the approaching sword, Li Congxin looked surprised. Not good. The people who were cheering and celebrating in Sunyao Holy Land suddenly turned pale with shock. Unexpectedly, after the thunder struck down, there was actually a heavenly sword striking down. The killing power contained in this sword is much stronger than that thunder, it can shatter everything. Protect the Holy Lord. Quick! In shock, the cultivators in the Holy Land rushed into the air and rushed towards Chiang Peak from all directions. Hundreds of thousands of people flew into the air, densely forming a large circle with Chiang Peak as the center, and simultaneously released the strongest aura. Among them, there are many martial saints and martial emperor realm experts. Who is that? At this moment, they discovered that there was a young man sitting on the top of the mountain. The sword Tribulation that day didn't seem to be directed at their holy lord, instead, rushed towards that boy. It's him. Uncle. Someone immediately recognized who it was. At this moment, looking at the young man facing the sky attack, Ren Li Huang, who also flew into the air to protect his father, was stunned on the spot. Isn't that her fiancé, Li Congxin? Boom! The huge invisible heavenly sword had been inserted into Li Congxin and passed through him quickly. Even though he was invincible, he was still safe and sound. Boom boom boom. At this moment, the entire red sun peak beneath him was directly blasted by the heavenly sword. The mountain peak collapsed into fragments all over the sky. Puff! Puff! Under the concussion of the sword's power, the Sunyao Holy Land cultivators floating in the void in all directions spurted blood, and all flew backwards like kites with broken strings. It fell back to the ground like beans all over the sky. A dense crowd of people crawled on the ground, with faces full of pain. They looked at Li Congxin sitting cross-legged in the void, and were shocked again. At this time, which peerless powerful man is overcoming the tribulation above me? That while shouting, Ren Hexing, who was scarred by the heavenly sword, flew out of the dust storm with 2 long nosebleeds. His face was full of panic, and the clothes on his body had become flying rags of cloth. It's too bad to do this, he yelled sadly. His face and body were covered in ashes, and he was in a miserable state. Li Congxin looked up into the sky. In order to protect the Riao Holy Land and his disciples, he bent his knees in desperation. Senior, please change the place. Don't. Ren Li Shuang in the distance screamed in surprise, but you can't kneel. Dad, you are confusing the generations. That is not your senior, that is your son-in-law. Bang! However, before he could stop, Ren Taxing had already knelt down heavily. 17 years ago, after he successfully got engaged in the Taiqian Holy Land, he went into seclusion, so he did not recognize Li Congxin. Li Congxin only realized at this time that he walked out of the time and space barrier and randomly chose a place, but ended up in the Sun Holy Land. He accidentally blew up his father-in-law. He blew away all his family members. Ahem. What a coincidence, Buzz. At this time, in the sky, the great power of the 8 directions was still gathering crazily. The might of the sky was rolling, and the murderous aura was surging. Obviously, Li Congxin's heavenly tribulation has not ended yet. Immediately, there will be a stronger and more deadly blow. It seems that we have to change places. Li Congxin was speechless. He felt that the next blow might destroy the Sun Holy Land, which had always respected the Taiqian Holy Land and had never crossed the line or violated the rules. In addition, Ren Li Huang was his nominal fiancé after all. Immediately, a punch shattered the void. I'm sorry for accidentally hurting you all. In the night sky, he waved his sleeves without saying much, and directly scattered 1,000,000 life pills, and then flew into the broken time and space with a whoosh, extending their lives for 100 years, just as healing is quite nice. Ding. You gave away 1,000,000 life pills, triggering a 100-fold rebate, and received 100,000,000 life pills. Ren Li Huang lay on the ground, his heart was in turmoil. How is it possible? Muttered in a low voice. How is it possible, that even if she saw the scene just now, she couldn't believe it, because 3 days ago, when she went to Taiqian Holy Land to comfort Li Congxin was still a waste material with talent, aptitude, root bone and divine nature all at the lower level of yellow grade. She has always believed that the son of Taiqian Saint can't be a waste, but even if it's all fake, how can he become so strong in just a few days? It's completely beyond her imagination. He's so strong that even her father is scared to his knees. Her father is a peak Quasi-Emperor, what a brilliant young man. Looking at the other party who disappeared from Li Congxin, Ren Li Shuang had a dazed expression, and her heart was inexplicably a little lost. He came and went, and never looked at her, and didn't even say hello. Although she and Li Congxin are engaged, does Li Congxin really like her? The engagement between the two of them was not proposed by Li Congxin, the man, but was offered by his father, the woman. "Daughter, are you okay?" Seeing that the strong man had left, Ren Taxing, who was relieved, flew to Ren Li Shuang and helped her up. "Do you know who that senior is? I have only been in seclusion for more than 10 years. How come such a powerful person appeared in this world? Is this person going to compete with Li Tianba?" "Daddy." Ren Li Shuang was speechless for a while. "They are father and son, what's the point of competing?" she said angrily. "He is not your senior, he is your junior, Li Congxin." "My future son-in-law, Li Congxin, the young master of Taiqian." Ren Taxing was shocked. "Impossible. This is absolutely impossible." He refused to admit the fact with a face full of disbelief. "How old is he? He is actually going through such a powerful heavenly tribulation." Ren Li Shuang blushed. "How can I not recognize my fiancé?" Ren Taxing's lips trembled. "Really? It's really him. Damn it." Suddenly, he was furious. He rolled up his ragged sleeves and began to point to the sky and curse. "Stinky boy, you didn't blow up your father at home, but came to blow up your father-in-law. You really lack your virtue. It's so hateful. Next time we meet, I will never give you a smile." If the person is really there, he will definitely not dare to curse. If he is not there, he must show his saintly temper, but his greatest stubbornness is not to give Li Congxin a smile. "Longevity pill." At this time, a disciple shouted in surprise. "There is this too. I picked it up too." Soon, in the dark night, the sound of surprise and joy rang everywhere. My son-in-law waved his sleeves before leaving. It was dark and I couldn't see it. It turned out that he had scattered a lot of longevity pills. Oh my God, so many longevity pills. Oh my God, he is worthy of being the second-generation richest man in the world. This is a great deal. Everyone, pick it up quickly. The disciples of the Sun Holy Land, whose bones and tendons were broken by the impact of the heavenly sword, soon fell into a carnival. They were so excited that they began to lie on the ground and search everywhere. Ren Taxing, who was cursing at the sky, twitched his mouth. "This kid, is he so arrogant?" He lowered his head and looked around on the ground. "Oh my God, there really is one." Swish! He opened his mouth and quickly sucked the longevity pill into his mouth. Then, he clasped his hands and thanked the sky. "Ha ha ha, thank you, my son-in-law, for blessing my Sun Holy Land." Every piece of meat on his face was smiling. "My son-in-law, thank you." Chapter 44, The Immortals Survive the Catastrophe and the Ants Suffer. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Overseas, Shifang Dynasty, Sakura County, under a setting sun, a dilapidated city full of broken walls was dyed blood red. In the center of the city, the Shifang Dynasty flag standing in the air was like a rolling cloud, flying in the wind, with a very domineering momentum. On the damaged city wall, at this moment, there stood a general with a divine appearance, and behind him were 100,000 imperial troops armed from toe to tooth, listening to the earth-shaking trampling and shouting. Everyone's expression was stern. "Rebel, rebel. Charge, overthrow the queen. Kill." In front of the city, on the boundless land, the manic and violent roars were connected to the sky and the ground. These damned ones. What a bunch of rebellious dogs that can't be fed. Tong Xiong looked at the chaotic army like a tide and couldn't help cursing a few times. The bastards in Sakura County are really ungrateful no matter how well they are fed. Damn it, they rebel every 3 to 5 years. What he didn't expect was that this riot was so sensational, and the rebel army was probably no less than millions, and the army he brought to redress the injustice only brought 100,000. Congxin frowned. There was no martial emperor or martial saint realm strongman to protect him in suppressing the riot this time. Today, he and the 100,000 soldiers are afraid that they will have to die here. Boom. At a glance, the whole land in front was full of people. If you have intensive phobia, you will definitely faint on the spot. Overthrow the queen. Charge, that the rebel army like a tide is getting closer and closer. Congxin's expression was stern. Immediately, he released the aura of the Grand Master Realm. Listen to my orders, prepare to fight and kill the enemy. At this point, the only way is to fight to the death. At this time. Squeak. Suddenly, the world in this place was filled with murderous intentions. A supreme power of heaven and a great killing intent are constantly growing between heaven and earth. Before anyone reacts, buzz. As if someone is coming, the space shakes violently, as if time and space are shattered, and heaven and earth open up. Bang. A square sword pierces through the sky, constantly breaking through the air layer, and stabs towards the earth. Look up, this sword is 10 times more terrifying than the one that appeared above the sun holy land. The sword is 38,000 meters long. It is 2,000 feet wide. The huge sword body can gather the sea and carry mountains and rivers. There are patterns of mountains, rivers, sun and moon, and gods and demons fighting on it. The killing intent is huge. What is this? Congxin, who was preparing to defend against the enemy, and the 100,000 imperial army all looked up at the sky, with expressions of shock. What is this? Is it the killing aura formed by the gathering of heaven and earth, or the anger transformed by the avenue? Because they had never seen a peerless sword calamity, they did not know that this was a heavenly calamity brought about by a strong man, a sword of heavenly punishment. Here it comes. Just as Congxin exclaimed, boom. Boom. The sword had already struck down from the sky. Bang. Angered and killed on the earth. Boom. Under the suppression of the sword of heavenly punishment and the impact of the killing power released, the millions of people on the earth were seen, with the sword hitting the center, spreading in all directions and disappearing continuously. This scene was a spectacular and thrilling scene that Congxin and others had never seen before. The soldiers were shocked. The next moment, the sword of heavenly punishment that struck the earth disappeared. The heaven and earth shook and gradually disappeared. The soldiers looked forward anxiously. There was not a single corpse or a drop of blood on the vast land, and even a piece of clothing or cloth could not be found. My heart was trembling. My God, under the killing power of the sword of punishment, millions of rebels were all crushed into dust and ashes. It's over. It's over before the war even started. That the soldiers were terrified and even doubted the authenticity of this for a short time. Who helped us to quell the rebellion? A soldier suddenly thought of someone. God of War. It must be God of War Li Qingfeng who came to save the situation. Yes, only him, and only him. Yes, to crush millions of troops in one fell swoop. Except for the God of War, there is no second person in my Shifeng dynasty. In excitement, everyone looked at it, but immediately they were shocked again. At this moment, in the earth, which was also the center of the sword attack, there stood a young man with fluttering clothes, extraordinary temperament, and no trace of damage or dust on his body. Not the God of War. That young man. No, who is that senior? Congxin was extremely surprised. Follow me out of the city quickly. Hurry out of the city to greet him and thank him. Swish. He walked out of the city gate with several followers and a team of soldiers, as if walking on the snow. Every step he took left a deep footprint and a crackling sound. The weather was hot and there was no snow. The ground was covered with human ash, more than a foot thick. Stepping on the human ash, the group felt numb in their hearts. Powerful, so powerful. Invincible, so invincible. Eliminating millions of people with one sword. This is simply a godlike existence. It's over. No more. Li Congxin looked up at the sky that had returned to calm. Ding. The heavenly tribulation is over, and the tribulation is successfully passed. The host has now officially become a strong man at the peak state of a quasi-emperor. Special tip, with the host's many abilities, even if you don't have to stay on Iran peak now, you can still be invincible in this world. But I like to stay on Iran peak. Li Congxin didn't fall for the system's trick at all, want to encourage me to go out into the world. No window, with beautiful women serving, no worries about food and drink, and various bigwigs in the family coming to the door from time to time to send things, it's so comfortable to stay at home. He smiled faintly again. Hee, the power of the heavenly tribulation is just like this. He was not hurt at all, looking at the thick dust around, he couldn't help but sigh in his heart, the world of the strong is ruthless. It's really that the gods survive the tribulation, and the ants suffer. Li Congxin broke the space barrier with a punch, and jumped randomly, and came to a large sea of people. Originally, he secretly said that he was really unlucky and was ready to change his position. However, when he heard the voices of overthrowing Empress Li Tianxin, he immediately changed his mind and gave up the idea of moving to another place. What the hell is this? You still want to overthrow my elder sister's regime? Don't you want to live? Then I will help you. Greetings, Senior. Tong Xiong and his group hurried to Li Congxin, and without saying a word, they knelt down 3 times and kowtowed 9 times, thank you for helping us suppress the riot. In fact, it was just an accident, but Li Congxin had no time to explain, so he asked, are you a general of the Shifang dynasty? Yes. Tong Xiong answered respectfully. Oh, then I didn't kill the wrong person. After confirming that those who had just been implicated and died were against his elder sister, Li Congxin said, get up. In fact, there was no need to thank him, because it was also his own business. Tong Xiong asked respectfully again, where are you from, Senior? What's your name? He had to report today's events to the Empress after he returned. I'm from Taiqian Holy Land, and my surname is Li. Li Congxin did not say his name, because once he said it, the soldiers who had just stood up would know that he was their master and would kneel down again. So that's it. Hearing this, Tong Xiong showed a look of sudden enlightenment. That's not surprising. The Taiqian Holy Land, which is full of masters, is the big hand behind their Shifang dynasty that can settle everything in the world. Only the Li family can be so amazing. The surname Li means that they are the Empress's family. This person must be a relative of the Empress. Like the god of war Li Qingfeng, he should be an elder of the Empress's uncle. Maybe he is even a quasi-emperor uncle. Although he saw that Li Congxin only looked like a teenager, he was sure that he must be a senior master. It is common for powerful cultivators to disguise themselves as young people and walk around. Just ask. How could a teenager be so terrifying? It's okay, I'm leaving. With a slight smile, Li Congxin was about to leave. Suddenly he remembered something. He asked, by the way, do such riots often happen in my dynasty? Indeed. Tong Xiong smiled helplessly, he said, because the Tianqin continent used to be a place where thousands of countries stood side by side. After the overlord swept across thousands of countries, the empress established the Shifang dynasty and unified the world. But some traitors who destroyed their country always have evil intentions. In addition, the area of our dynasty is too vast, so it is difficult to supervise it in all directions. Therefore, riots and chaos often occur in many places. So, we can only run around and suppress them everywhere. The Empress is also quite troubled. Yeah. Li Congxin nodded slightly. Such a huge dynasty, with a territory of hundreds of millions of miles, and every nook and cranny, riots here today, rebellions there tomorrow. No wonder his elder sister is so busy that she has no time to come back to see him. He said in his heart, System, give me a powerful book on governing the country, the kind that is specially for the emperor to learn. The host rarely makes requests on his own initiative, and the system responds very quickly. Ding. The system is upgrading. The upgrade failed. The upgrade failed. The system is upgraded for the 48th time, and the upgrade is successful. Li Congxin was stunned. I asked you to find a book. How did you get promoted? Hint. You have been injected with the posture of a god-level emperor. Congratulations, you have obtained the title of 9 Fives. Congratulations, you have obtained the title of True Dragon Son of Heaven. Congratulations, you have obtained the title of Supreme Emperor. Congratulations, you have obtained the title of Pointing to the Country. Congratulations, you have obtained the title of Famous in History. Boom! As a series of system sounds sounded, a huge torrent poured into Li Congxin's body. Wow! At the same time, a supreme golden divine light burst out from Li Congxin's body, turning into majestic and domineering dragon shapes surrounding him. The divine light was widespread and the golden light was shining. Chapter 45, Slaughtering Millions of People, This Emperor Does Not Accept. You are listening at novelfold.audio. Ong. Ong ong. In the golden light, there was even a very real dragon roar. Against the backdrop of that aura, Li Congxin instantly became another person, sacred, solemn, and unattainable to anyone in the world, inviolable, must be respected. It is the spirit of the emperor, the imperial power. The so-called imperial power is not a kind of power, but a temperament that only a truly great emperor has, a momentum that looks down on all living things, a majesty that dominates the world. Under the imperial power, the heaven and the earth worship, all things crawl, and all living things tremble. That's probably what it means, looking at Li Congxin, who was surrounded by golden dragon light and roared repeatedly, like a supreme emperor. Congxin and his group were shocked at first, and then, without any warning, they knelt down on the ground, almost shouting "Long live my emperor, long live my emperor, long live my emperor." They were also terrified in their hearts, and they kept forcing themselves to control themselves. They couldn't shout, absolutely couldn't shout. Once they shouted, they would be traitors to their master. Because their master was the Queen Li Tianxin, but under the imperial power, they couldn't control themselves at all, and a soldier was about to shout from the bottom of his heart, 10,000. Li Congxin was sweating wildly in his heart. Brother, don't shout. Although your shouting is not actually treason, you are shortening my life. My current lifespan is 9.9 billion, and it can be increased at any time. You want to call me long live? Stop. With a quick wave of his sleeves, he put away all the titles and the imperial power that was released. It immediately returned to normal. The soldier who was about to shout out breathed a sigh of relief, his whole body softened, and he lay on the ground powerlessly. I asked you to give me a book. Why did you do all this? The emperor is my sister. Not me. I've said it before, I just want to lie down in this life. My father fights and my sister guards. I'm only responsible for enjoying life. Li Congxin complained for a while and reiterated, oh, I know. The system said aggrievedly, prompt, according to the current situation of the Shifang dynasty, it is searching, ding, you get a book of governance, Jingguan Jingyao. That's about right. Li Congxin was satisfied, took out the Jingguan Jingyao. This book records the lifelong experience of governing the country of an emperor of my Li family. You hand this book over to the empress. Congxin took it with both hands, looking at Li Congxin with awe and worship. He thought, Senior, don't be modest, this book is written by you, right? Because he just saw the breath of a peerless emperor from Li Congxin, a supreme imperial power. Li Congxin didn't lie, this book really records the experience of his Li family. Jingguan Jingyao is the analysis and insights of Li Shimin and Wei Zheng, Wang Gui, Fang Xianling, Du Ruhui and other ministers on various policies of governing the country after he became emperor. The current situation of the Shifang dynasty is just the same as that of the newly unified Tang dynasty. Li Shimin used the advice and insights of these good ministers to gradually bring the Tang dynasty into stability and prosperity when the world was in a state of peace and everything was waiting to be rebuilt. Ding. The host gave away 1 Jingguan Jingyao, triggering a 1,000-fold rebate, and obtained 1,000 Jingguan Jingyao. Li Congxin. This is also a rebate. What do you need so many books for? Are you worried that the toilet on Iran Peak is out of paper? Too lazy to despise the system, he waved his sleeves, and the spacetime barriers in the void broke through layer by layer, ready to step in and return to Iran Peak. You slaughtered millions of my people, and just walked away like this. At this time, an extremely gloomy voice sounded, chi chi chi. The spacetime barrier opened by Li Congxin was constantly collapsing and shattering like a collapsed cave door. Li Congxin narrowed his eyes and stopped him from leaving. Swish, swish, swish. On the ground covered with ashes, there were tens of thousands of dead souls flying up, soaring into the air, and gathering towards one place. Although they were all dead souls, they were controlled by a powerful force and turned into an extremely huge circle in the sky, forming a terrifying protection, and constantly rotating around a powerful person in the circle. A man in a black robe was surrounded by millions of dead souls in an airtight circle. The scene was spectacular and terrifying. Looking at the horror scene, Tong Xiong and others were all shocked. Who is that? There is another super strong man here. From what he said, he should be the ruler of this area before my dynasty was destroyed. He calls himself the Emperor. Could it be, an Emperor-level strong man, that the expressions of a group of people change drastically, because they know that in front of an Emperor-level strongman, they are as small as ants? Are you afraid of me? Why do you come out to block my way? Li Congxin looked calm and said, Who are you? I am Wu Ben Hongyuan. The voice of the black-robed man came from the vast soul circle. At this moment, he was also observing, judging and analyzing Li Congxin. It's him, Tong Xiong exclaimed. He quickly shouted, Senior Li, this person is one of the 10 people on the list of strong men that our queen has drawn up to be eliminated. He is extremely powerful and must not be underestimated. Li Congxin couldn't help but feel interesting. His sister also has such a blacklist. The great Emperor Heba led the Taigan Holy Land to sweep across the Tianqin continent. All the powerful opponents have been killed, but there were always some fish that slipped through the net, such as the old man who had been in seclusion in a hidden place for a long time. A turtle, or an old guy living in seclusion somewhere unknown. Li Tianxin made a list of those people who had not been killed and who might bring great harm to the Shifang dynasty in the future. There are 10 people in total on this list. As long as any one of these 10 people appears in this world, it will inevitably cause chaos in the world and cause destruction to all living beings. Therefore, they must be eliminated. This place is now called Sakura County. Before it was destroyed, it was originally called Sakura Dynasty, and the ancestor of Sakura Dynasty was Takemoto Hongyuan. He was a powerful quasi-emperor. This person has not been heard from for all these years. I didn't expect that he would appear at this time. Tong Xiong looked nervous. I don't know if Senior Li, who has a close relationship with their queen, can fight against Takemoto Hongyuan. Li Congxin still looked nonchalant. He even muttered, Takemoto Hongyuan, how come this name is so popular? What? You want revenge? Come on then. In fact, he was too lazy to fight with people himself, but in the current situation, if he left just like that, Tong Xiong and the soldiers of the Shifang dynasty who stayed here would definitely die. What a loud tone. Wu Ben Hongyuan said arrogantly, Your Excellency, you have just passed through the heavenly tribulation and entered the Quasi-Emperor realm, but I have been in the Quasi-Emperor realm for 3,000 years. You are no match for me. Li Congxin just smiled and said, Then why are you surrounding yourself with a group of dead souls? Takemoto Hongyuan, this. Boom. Mr. Li's playful smile made him feel as if a great danger was coming, and the vast circle of dead souls surrounding him began to rotate even more violently. It releases a kind of I am evil warning to strangers not to enter. He was originally in a deep sleep, but was awakened by Li Congxin's catastrophe. That catastrophe was so terrifying. It was countless times greater than when he went through the Quasi-Emperor tribulation. The reason is that he can't see through Li Congxin and can't judge how strong Li Congxin is, but as we all know, the stronger the punishment of the heavenly tribulation, the stronger the person who overcomes the tribulation. Recalling the terrifying power of the catastrophe just now, Takemoto Hongyuan even began to regret showing up, even a little weak, seeing that he couldn't frighten the other party. He cautiously tried, Your Excellency, how about you go first? Tong Xiong. Soldiers. This is a bit like that. Then what did you just do in my way? Li Congxin pursed his lips and smiled. Everyone is a quasi-emperor, is he that scary? He smiled and said, I'm leaving so you can kill my people. Takemoto Hongyuan. You have guessed this. I'm too lazy to nag you. If you don't take action, then I will. Boom. Li Congxin released powerful imperial power. Etc. Takamoto Honyuan was shocked and shouted quickly, "How about I leave?" Sure enough, this person is extremely powerful. The power of this emperor was far beyond his imagination. You can't leave. Under the aura, Emperor Li Congxin was so majestic that his voice was as loud as the sky. Since he is the person on his sister's blacklist who must be eliminated, if he meets him, can he let you go? Dream on you. Under the excitement of the emperor's power, he slowly raised a hand. This is not an absolute realm, and he directly activates 100,000 times critical strike. With a bang, an air finger flicked towards Takamoto Honyuan in the air. With one finger, heaven and earth are buried. Blast to death. Under the impact of the power of that finger, as if cleansing the dark world, millions of dead souls forming a huge circle in the air were instantly wiped out. The world became clear. With one finger, the emperor would be dead. Blast to death. Wu Ben Hongyuan's true body had just been revealed. He was so shocked that he had no time to make any resistance. Before he could unleash his imperial power, he was wiped out by the power of that finger. Impossible. This is absolutely impossible. We are in the same realm and at the same level. How can I be wiped out by you with just a flick of your finger? This emperor is not convinced, that the person has died, and the world is still echoing with the cry of despair and the roar of grief and indignation that came from his soul at the moment of death, for a long time. I'm going to die, what's the use of not accepting it? Li Congxin smiled faintly, waved his sleeves again and swept away the space barrier, slowly walking into the broken void. On the earth, only a group of soldiers from the Shifang dynasty were left. Tongxiong. Soldiers. A group of people stood stunned. They saw with their own eyes that a powerful quasi-emperor, or a quasi-emperor who had survived for many years, was killed instantly. Just one finger and it exploded. Oh no, the bullet disappeared. After a long time, a group of people suddenly shuddered all over their bodies, and then bowed towards the void that had long since closed. Best farewell to me, Senior. Chapter 46, Unrivaled in the World. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The Ten Directions Dynasty, the imperial city, in the palace, hundreds of officials knelt on the ground in silence, with respectful expressions. In the palace is a woman with noble temperament, the gold-threaded clothes are lightly swaying, and the light blue silk is tied around the waist. The ink hair is like a waterfall, flying like silk. At this moment, she is holding a book in one hand and holding the other behind her back, with her head held high and her chest held high, like a nine-sky phoenix standing between heaven and earth, so noble that people dare not look directly at it, and so beautiful that people dare not breathe. Looking at the contents of the book, the color in Li Tianxin's beautiful eyes gradually changed. He was curious, shocked, and extremely impressed. From this book, she can only use 4 words to describe it: she has benefited a lot. After obtaining this book, she believed that as long as she was given 10 years, she could build the Shifang dynasty into a peaceful, prosperous dynasty. After a long time, Li Tianxin closed the book, calmed down his inner turmoil, and looked into the quiet palace. Who wrote this book? Such a great talent. Even if it is Bagu Gusha, she must invite him to be her royal minister. Reporting to the queen, the senior who gave the letter did not mention his name. He only said that he came from the Taigan Holy Land and his surname was Li. Tongxiong, who was kneeling in the hall, quickly responded truthfully. Taigan Holy Land. The last name is Li. Li Tianxin was surprised. Isn't that someone from her family? Her Li family does have all kinds of super geniuses, but most of their extraordinary qualities are in their cultivation talents, but there are no great talents who can write the book of governing the country. She couldn't help but look surprised. She had an uncle who was known as the Sage of Calligraphy. He had extraordinary talents and learning, and had the ability to govern the country and manage the world and benefit the people. Could it be him? Let me ask, is this person a middle-aged man dressed as a scholar? No. Tongxiong shook his head in denial, said, that senior is not a scholar, but looks like an elegant young man, and he is super strong. When he appeared, he killed millions of rebels into powder with one sword. While Feng Qingyun was chatting and laughing, he killed Wu Ben Hongyuan with a flick of his finger. Boom, that the quiet palace instantly became filled with noise. Destroy millions of rebels with one sword. Oh my God, how powerful does this have to be? The strongest person in the world must be the strongest person in the world. This is a powerful person with the power to destroy the world. Hi, I killed Takamoto Honyuan with a flick of my finger. Are you kidding me? That Takamoto Honyuan is one of the 10 most dangerous people in our Shifang dynasty. He is a powerful quasi-emperor who scares countless powerful people. Who in the world can kill the quasi-emperor instantly? Everyone was shocked. Li Tianxin in the palace also looked shocked. He thought quickly in his mind, his father, Heba Emperor, can do this to have such power. Her second uncle Tianqin, the continent's #1 god of war, should be able to do the same. Is there a third person so powerful in this world? And they are still members of her Li family, still a teenager. Who is this person? He even has a kind of. Tong Xiong hesitated to speak, but he still said the truth, a kind of supreme imperial power that makes all living beings worship. The faces of the noisy officials in the palace changed. Don't say this nonsense, otherwise, it is disobedience, because today, there is only one Shifang dynasty and one queen in the entire Tianqin continent. Li Tianqin also frowned. What is this person's temperament and appearance like? That he has great talent for governing the country, is extremely powerful, and has the aura to dominate the world. Now, she is becoming more and more curious about this person. It can be said to be unparalleled in the world and the best in the world. Tong Xiong raised his thumb and threw it to the ground, his expression full of excitement and admiration. Because the scene he witnessed with his own eyes really shocked him. Li Tianxin. Ministers. Suddenly, someone looked at Tong Xiong suspiciously. Are you a reckless man who has been possessed by some evil spirit, or was instigated by a rebellious party? Come back here and talk nonsense. His literary skills and military skills are all astonishing, and his temperament and appearance are also outstanding. How can there be such a perfect person in the world? Impossible. Absolutely impossible. You don't believe it? Tong Xiong suddenly showed an expression of dissatisfaction. He didn't have to believe him, but he must not underestimate his idol. He said loudly, Zhouan, the warlock who accompanied me, can portray this person's appearance. Pass on Zhouan. Li Tianxin waved his golden sleeves. After a while, Zhouan stood in the hall, closing his eyes slightly. He released streams of spiritual power, which continued to blend and condense in the void. The so-called carving does not use strokes, but the practitioner uses powerful means to take the appearance of a person recorded in the mind and use spiritual power to transform it into a mirror image and let it emerge, looking at the virtual phase that is gradually taking shape. Who is this? This young man's appearance and temperament are indeed extraordinary. Just looking at his appearance, I think General Tong is not lying. Be careful what you say. What kind of boy? He just looks like a boy, but he is actually a super senior. Because Li Zongxin had never left Taigan Holy Land, officials did not recognize him. How could it be? At this moment, Li Tianxin seemed to have seen the most surprising thing in the world. His beautiful eyes were fixed and his heart was extremely shocked. Isn't that her brother? Same, exactly the same. Somewhat unable to calm down, he quickly asked, are you sure it's this person? Sure. Tong Xiong and Zhouan said respectfully together. How could it be? Li Tianxin whispered to himself again, feeling completely unbelievable in his heart. It can be said that her whole family has been heartbroken over the past few years. Her younger brother is obviously a useless person in cultivation. Even if he devoured several elders of the Shenyuan family that she sent to him, his current strength would only be at the imperial level at best, right? In the imperial realm, how could it be possible to kill the Quasi-Emperor? Still kill with one finger. Also, as far as she knew, her brother was not capable of writing a book on governing the country. Is it true? He whispered to himself again, but at the same time, Li Tianxin became nervous and a little excited. If true, that would be great. she would wake up laughing when she fell asleep. Of course she hopes that her younger brother will be the one who is unparalleled in the world and the best in the world. The better Li Congxin is, the happier she will be. Yes or no, it must be clearly identified, said Congxin Ran. After a while, a beautiful figure walked over and entered the main hall. See your majesty. Elegant as an orchid, as beautiful as a lotus, she is a woman in green clothes with long hair and a slender figure. She looks elegant and indescribably elegant. She also held an ancient scroll in her hand. This woman is Li Qianxin's personal female official, and the two have a very good personal relationship, like sisters. At the same time, she also has another identity. She is known as one of the three wonders in the world among the younger generation of women in Tianqing continent. Mo Xiangran is extremely talented. Xiangran is studying in his room. I wonder what your majesty's ministers have ordered when they come here, Li Qianxin said. I want you to go to Taigan Holy Land immediately and ask my brother for advice on how to govern the country. Oh, Mo Xiangran frowned slightly. Everyone knows that the queen's brother is a waste in every way. What does he know about governing a country? Li Congxin, the holy son of Taiqian, is the future crown prince. The queen is just temporarily taking care of the family business for her younger brother. She said that she is asking her to go and ask for advice. In fact, what she really means is that she wants her to be Li Congxin's teacher and teach Li Congxin how to govern the country. The emperor the art, right? Let her brother study more and prepare himself for inheriting the throne in the future. As commanded. She has gained supreme honor by relying on her natural destiny, but in fact she is useless. A smart and proud woman like Mo Xiangran, from the bottom of her heart, despises this second generation of powerful people. However, although she is reluctant in her heart, she cannot do anything because of the emperor's orders. Shortly after. Drive. A Zhaomaxiang chariot drove out of the south gate of the imperial city and rushed towards the Taigan Holy Land. Chapter 47. High-end ingredients must be cooked using the best methods. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Iran Peak. Why are there more and more fish in this pond? It seems so. I remember there were only a few of them before, but now they are all in large groups. Li Congxin was lying on the bamboo chair in the pavilion, leisurely watching the fish swimming around in the pond. Yasusu squatted in front of him, talking while a pair of small hands pressed hard on his feet. Chu Fij was quiet. Stood behind him, a pair of plain hands gently rubbing his shoulders. The years are really quiet and good. After going out to survive a catastrophe, Li Congxin had been lying down for a whole day when he came back. Young master, Brother Chicken has laid an egg. Huh, Brother Chicken laid an egg. At this time, I saw Ren Huchong, who had just returned from feeding the chickens, smiling happily, holding an egg in his hand and shouting continuously. I'm just feeding a chicken. I'll make you happy every day. Li Congxin glanced at Ren Huchong, and he deliberately opened the eye of truth to take a peek. Character, Ren Huchong, current lifespan, 37,651 years, he smiled calmly. No wonder his uncle was so happy, no wonder he changed his name to calling his chickens Brother Chicken. He robbed the chicken feed of those spiritual chickens every day and earned tens of thousands of years of life. Those chickens must be his brother's dear brother. Li Congxin didn't care, because he had already said that if anyone got greedy and wanted to eat some chicken feed while feeding the chickens, he wouldn't mind. This was all with his prior permission, but the premise is that he doesn't feed his chickens thinner and thinner. Ren Huchong ran to the pavilion. Young master, I will give you a snack later. This spirit egg must be nourishing and delicious. Just one, Yasusu exclaimed, isn't that too little? It's still so young, and my cousin swallowed it up in one bite. Li Congxin suddenly narrowed his eyes. A thought flashed through his mind. Cook this one. Suddenly, an egg shining with colorful lights appeared in the pavilion, a large egg as big as two people hugging each other. It was because of this egg that the system was dissatisfied and gave him 360,000 years of cultivation, bringing him to the pinnacle of the Quasi-Emperor realm, causing him to leave Taigan Holy Land and go out to survive the tribulation. What kind of egg is this? It's so big, Except for Chu Fij, Yi Susu and Ren Hu Chong were all surprised. Don't worry about what kind of eggs they are, just boil them. Li Congxin warned, remember, this is a very high-end ingredient, and it is best to cook it in the best way. Since it was a gift prepared by his mother for him, of course he couldn't let her down, so he had to eat this dragon and phoenix egg. After all, this egg contains the cultivation of 2 quasi-emperors. Even if you want to eat such high-end ingredients, you have to eat them in the most elegant way, to show respect. The top. Young master, are you serious? Ren Hu Chong's expression perked up, he began to express his own opinion. Ordinary people, because Zhaohua is fleeting, so their feelings for food are mostly homesickness, nostalgia, or reminiscing about the taste of their childhood. With a proud look on his face, he said, but for immortal cultivators like us, when it comes to food, we should first pursue an absolutely high-end, ultimate beauty. 2 words, enjoy. Li Congxin laughed, it seems that his brother-in-law has a deep understanding of cooking. He is worthy of being born with the taste of a god of cooking. Young master, I thought of a cooking method, but... Suddenly, Ren Hu Chong smiled awkwardly and rubbed his hands, it's really, too luxurious. Li Congxin was curious, how luxurious is it? Ren Hu Chong said, this egg is not fried, steamed or boiled. Use the best fire spirit stone to build a stove, wrap the egg, release the spiritual power of the spirit stone, and spend 12 hours to slowly mature it. The fragrance and tenderness of the meat must be outstanding. Fire has the power of refining, and the best fire spirit stone has the power of creation, so delicacies cooked with the best fire spirit stone may even trigger special effects. Ahem, it's just that such a big egg would probably cost 100 top-quality fire stones. He said this with a look of fear, who would waste 100 top-grade fire stones to boil eggs? Do you think my cousin is so rich that he is crazy? Isusu exclaimed. That's too extravagant and wasteful. Chu Fij also said in shock, how about cooking it with spiritual liquid? There is pure spiritual liquid everywhere on Iran Peak. The spiritual liquid is something that many cultivators can't even dream of in their lifetime. It is already high-end and top-notch. You must know that in addition to ordinary spiritual stones, there is also a kind of spiritual stone with attributes. However, this kind of spiritual stone is extremely rare. In the market, no one is willing to take it out and use it as currency. For example, if a fire spirit root cultivator uses fire spirit stones to practice, his growth rate will be 100 times that of ordinary spirit stones. Therefore, at the same level, the value of spiritual stones with attributes is 100 times that of those without attributes. Ding. In the lottery, you get 999999999 top-quality gold spiritual stones. Ding. In the lottery, you get 999999999 top-quality wood spirit stones. Ding. In the lottery, you get 999999999 top-quality water spirit stones. Ding. In the lottery, you get 999999999 top-quality fire stones. Ding. In the lottery, you get 999999999 top-grade earth spirit stones. Ding. In the lottery, you get 999999999 top-quality wind spirit stones. Ding. In the lottery, you get 999999999 top-grade thunder stones. Ding. In the lottery, you get 999999999 top-quality ice spirit stones. It was detected that Li Congxin did not have any spiritual stones with attributes, and the system immediately began to actively draw prizes. Li Congxin had a calm expression on his face. He was used to it, and he was extremely calm. Okay, just do as you say. Immediately, he took out 100 top-grade fire spirit stones and gave them to Ren Hu Chong. Young master, you are too extravagant. Cousin, you are so rich and rich that you are crazy. That the boss of Yi Susu and Chu Fagame were stunned and expressed that they could not accept it. No matter how rich you are, you can't waste it. This move is like using 100 million yuan to cook rice. Is it crazy? Eating well is more important than anything else. Li Congxin smiled slightly, ding. You give Ren Huchong 100 top-grade fire stones, trigger a 100-fold rebate, and get 10,000 top-grade fire stones. The smile broke out. This was for Ren Huchong to use to boil eggs for himself. He just took it a step further, so it was considered a gift. Looking at the two girls in shock, he put the spirit stones obtained from the rebate into 2 storage rings and threw them at them. Don't be dazed, I'll give it to you. Ding. You give Yasusu and Chu Fij 10,000 top-grade fire spirit stones, trigger a 1,000-fold rebate, and obtain 10 million top-grade fire spirit stones. Li Congxin. The more you give, the more you will get. Have no choice. Young master, I'm going right now. Just wait for 12 hours. I'll call you as soon as it's done. At this time, Ren Huchong looked overjoyed and ran toward the kitchen carrying the big Easter egg. The cooking method he mentioned was something he realized on his own, but he had never actually done it. He wanted to do it, but his strength did not allow it. Now, he who loves cooking can finally fulfill his dream. With his understanding of cooking skills, he believed that the young master would be very surprised when this big Easter egg was cooked. Chapter 48, Graffiti to create a holy place for Confucianism and Taoism. You are listening at novelfull.audio. It takes 12 hours to make an egg. Looking at Ren Huchong carrying the eggs away, Li Congxin couldn't help but look forward to it. It seems to be a high-end technical job. Well, if you perform well, you should be rewarded. Immediately, he stretched his waist and said, I've been lying down all day. I need to relax my muscles and bones. Young master, do you want to practice? Cousin, do you want to practice? Chu Fij and Isusu asked almost at the same time. Their expressions perked up, and their faces showed excitement, because every time he shows off his abilities, it shocks and surprises people. His terrifying strength even makes people look at him as a god and astonish him. The more this happens, the more people will be curious about how powerful he is, and the more they want to see his endless pretense. To put it bluntly, it is because of worship. When you are infatuated with a man, you like to watch him show off in various ways. Practice. Li Congxin lazily stood up from the bamboo chair. Is that called relaxing your muscles? That's called strenuous exercise. His expression was comfortable, and he took slow steps. Let's go for a walk with me. Ding. The step counting begins. The current total number of steps, 17127. Yasusu. Chu Fij. The two beautiful girls felt slightly disappointed, and immediately followed, one on the left and one on the right beside Li Congxin, and walked slowly towards the outside of the pavilion. Not long after, at the top of Iran Peak, 3 figures stood leisurely in the breeze. When he arrived at the peak for the first time after crossing, Li Congxin had a wide view and could overlook the entire Taigan Holy Land and the millions of mountains beyond. Suddenly, he felt a sense of magnanimity with an open heart and a boundless mind. Looking back on what he saw along the way, the scenery on Iran Peak was beautiful, but there was one thing: big rocks and cliffs can be seen everywhere. No grass or flowers grow on them. They are bare and look a bit abrupt against the green mountains and green water. Looking back at a big rock on the top of the mountain, Li Congxin narrowed his eyes. He is here to enjoy life. Since it is his place of residence, of course he must be comfortable both physically and mentally. Well, decorate it to make the environment more perfect, and you will feel better. Along with his thoughts, ding, the system is being upgraded. Update successed. Tip, you get the title of God of Literature. Tip, you get the title of Word God. Boom. In a sudden period of time, a huge amount of knowledge poured into Li Congxin's mind, which contained all the books, poems, lyrics, songs, and poems from ancient and modern times. His brain instantly became a vast knowledge base. This is a bit too much. An interesting color appeared in Li Cong's mind. He, a scumbag in school, suddenly became a demon who could beat up all the students in the northern Qing dynasty. How could this be embarrassing for people who have worked so hard to receive 9 years of compulsory education? It can only be said that the system is too powerful. Immediately, his mind moved. Buzz. A wave of force was released from his body, causing Isusu and Chu Fij to fly back left and right. Both women were shocked. Then my heart skipped a beat. Just say, how can such an outstanding person not work hard secretly, no matter how relaxed he is on the surface? I said it was a walk, but I came to this deserted mountain top, but actually I came here to practice Qigong. At this time, the positions where Isusu and Chu Fij originally stood have been replaced by two powerful holy weapons, Weeping Heaven Sword. Jing Lei Wentian Gun. Two weapons appeared in the void around Li Congxin. In his own absolute domain, in the eyes of outsiders, he can have unimaginable magical powers. At this time, there is a faint light of charm in his eyes. Boom. Boom. He stood leisurely with his hands behind his back without any movement. Under his spiritual thoughts, the Weeping Heaven Sword and the Wentian Spear turned into two rays of light and flew toward the big rock not far away. The swords and guns that flew out were not broken, but the sword is like a silver-hooked iron pen, vigorous and powerful. The spear is like a snake swimming in the clouds, frightening the dragon in the clouds. He began to dance and run on the big rock, moving smoothly and boldly. On the stone, large characters containing infinite truth and meaning gradually appeared one by one. How is Mr. Daizong? Qi Lu is still young. The clock of good fortune is beautiful, and the yin and yang cut off the dawn. Xing Yun is born when the chest is widened, and the returning bird returns to the canthus. You will be at the top of the mountain, and you will be able to see all the mountains and small mountains at a glance. In a matter of seconds, a poem has been carved that is very consistent with the artistic conception of this mountain top. In this scene, Isusu and Chu Fij could only see their charming faces and stunningly beautiful eyes. I thought he was going to practice martial arts, but it turned out that he was just decorating. The two girls looked at the words on the big stone. When you reach the top of the mountain, you can see all the mountains. I kept thinking silently in my heart, and couldn't help but look around the world, millions of mountains, and vast white clouds. A majestic atmosphere emerged in his mind. When they looked at Li Congxin again, the admiration they had hidden in their hearts appeared on their pretty faces uncontrollably, because, in line with this situation, scene, and artistic conception, they began to experience the ambition and spirit of not being afraid of difficulties, daring to climb to the top, and overlooking everything, as well as the heroic ambition to be independent and help the world. Chu Fij was thinking, it turns out that the real young master is like this in his heart. Yasusu was thinking in his mind, it turns out that my cousin is like this. Holy son of Taigon. Son of the world. This is the true son of the overlord of the world. The reason why the two of them had such thoughts was because Li Congxin was now the god of words, and every word he wrote contained infinite truth and meaning, can express what has been expressed in the poem vividly. If a Confucian and Taoist cultivator passes by this place and sees the words he is writing now, he will be inspired to advance immediately after just one glance. After pondering for a moment, you can gain enlightenment and break through immediately. Let's go back. Under the adoring eyes of the two women, Li Congxin walked leisurely towards the return road with his hands behind his back. Along the way, the sword did not return to its sheath, and the spear did not sheath its edge, flying beside him like a shadow. Immortal charm is full of charm, as long as he sees bare rocks and cliffs. With Li Cong's thoughts, the Weeping Heaven Sword and the Wentian Spear will fly out immediately. Keep carving out a poem or word. I am talking about being a teenager. I hold the yellow on the left and the blue on the right. I wear a brocade hat and a mink fur, and ride on 1,000 horses. I can hold the eagle bow like the full moon. I look northwest and shoot at the wolf. I never see the ancients before me, and I never see the newcomers after me. Thinking about the long journey of heaven and earth, I shed tears alone. 30 years of fame and dust, 8,000 miles of clouds and moon. One day the rock rises with the wind and soars 90,000 miles away. I think back then, when we were strong and powerful, we could swallow thousands of miles like a tiger. Some are heroic and some are sentimental. Once upon a time, the sea was difficult to overcome. Except for Wushan, it was not a cloud. I looked back lazily at the flowers, half destined to practice Taoism and half destined to be a king. You can't see clearly. It has already turned into sand. A lifetime is just wine in a cup and tea in a cup. After one sip, you are already wandering around the world. Last night it was rainy and windy, and I couldn't get rid of the remaining wine in my deep sleep. Try the curtain people, but the crabapples are still the same, do you know? They should be green, fat, red and thin. Isusu and Chu Fij, who had been following Li Congxin all the way, looked at the poem and felt extremely shocked in their hearts, even if the strength is that strong. He is so talented. Wandering at will, a poem came to me at random, as if I hadn't thought about it at all. With such literary talent, even if all the literati and writers from all over the world were to gather their talents, I'm afraid they would not be as good as him, right? The most terrifying thing is that if any one of these songs is spread, it will definitely become an eternal masterpiece. The two women looked at Li Congxin's elegant back again, and felt that the person in their eyes was extremely talented, pure and refined, as if he was an immortal. Shortly after, Li Congxin, who came down from the peak, stood on the way up the mountain, looking at the mountains in the distance and the winding mountain road, his eyes narrowed slightly. Here, a poem to welcome guests should be written to suit the scene. He originally planned to continue extracting directly from the knowledge base and continue to enjoy the use doctrine, but as his thoughts moved, his ideas suddenly emerged like a fountain. Under his thoughts, the weeping heaven sword and the questioning heaven spear flew out with a boom sound. In a short time, he had carved an original poem of his on a big stone beside the mountain road. Looking back at the chaotic mountains, I saw no old friends but clouds. Who looks like a pine tree on the mountain? Ting ting. Welcome guests to the west and see off guests. Title, to the visitors. Fuck. Li Congxin himself was shocked, then he felt great joy in his heart. Am I so talented? That he forgot for a moment that he was now a literary god, and even if he didn't need to copy the poems of the ancients, he could still express them in verse. Hey, I'm a fucking genius. Chapter 49. The lady came with a carriage and was stunned when she went up the mountain. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Are you really that awesome? No way. Li Congxin still didn't believe it. In this case, he tried to look at the two beauties beside him, smiled and said, you two accompany me, and I will give you a poem each. Chu Fij is the daughter of destiny and destiny in a vast world. She originally had a noble status. Yasusu is his childhood sweetheart, considerate, delicate, and cute. Try to think. Boom. Boom. The thoughts surged out wildly, and the weeping heaven sword and the Wentian spear flew toward a pair of cliffs in the distance, like earthworms in spring and snakes in autumn. Swan and phoenix fly on the cliff. Gift Fei Gu. The first makeup of the world of mortals, standing in the world, boundless mountains and rivers. The beauty of the world, crushing the nightmare of impermanence. Beauty Ping Ting, unparalleled fate. Gift to Susu. The eyebrows are delicate and the corners of the eyes are beautiful, and the voice is sweet and the smile is enchanting. I wish you warm winters, and springs that are not cold. May you smile like a flower, and may everything you ask for come true. As the last word was written, Li Congxin waved his sleeves, and the weeping heaven sword and Wentian spear that flew back with a sharp roar were taken back to the system warehouse. Well, it's almost decorated. Then, Li Congxin muttered to himself, the beautiful scenery, paired with poetry, makes my Iran peak seem more elegant. Continuing to hold his hands behind his back, he walked slowly towards his residence. Only Chu Fij and Isusu Qiao were left standing there, looking at the words on the cliff in the distance. The expressions of the two people were completely different. One has a moved face and beautiful eyes with tears, the other has a sweet face and a smile as bright as a flower. From the poem, as Chu Fij who was captured here, she truly felt that Li Congxin never looked down upon her. On the contrary, he praised her and respected her status. In my heart, I couldn't help but admire and respect Li Congxin more and more. He has a terrifying background, powerful strength, and unparalleled charm, but as a person, he is not arrogant at all. Not overbearing, nor arrogant. As for Isusu, the words may you smile like a flower, and may you have everything you ask for. Immediately made her heart bloom like a flower, and her face also bloomed like a flower. Sweet. So sweet. The two of them were completely attracted by the words on the cliff and did not notice Li Congxin. At this moment, Li Congxin suddenly staggered at his feet. Ding. You give a poem from Yasusu, which triggers a 1,000-fold rebate and gets 1,000 poems given to you by the system. Ding. You give Chu Fij a poem, trigger 1,000 times rebate, and get 1,000 poems gifted to you by the system. Li Congxin. My heart was sweating wildly. Sick. Is this system jealous? Forget about real matter. I didn't expect that it would not let go of even this ethereal and ethereal spiritual matter, and would stand up and collect it in dissatisfaction. Then I wrote it. Forget it with outsiders, you and I, the host, also need to take part. Li Congxin couldn't complain, and curled his lips. Who wants your poems? Can you compose poems with only one system? Is it an automated combination of big data? The system is even more dissatisfied. Tip. This system is not a machine without emotions, and its literary talent is definitely not as good as yours now. So, it is recommended that the host can still take a look. Forget it, I know you won't read it. Ding. 1,000 poems about praising, blessing, singing and praising Li Congxin have been automatically poured into your brain. Boom. Li Congxin was stunned for a moment as he felt the large number of passionate, aesthetic, and wild dog-licking sentences pouring into his mind like a violent storm. Immediately, relief gradually appeared on his face that he could not hold back. He was a little drifting, and a little, disgusting, on Iran Peak. The sword energy stretches across 30,000 miles, and the light of one sword chills 19 continents. Rocks penetrated the sky, stormy waves crashed on the shore, and thousands of piles of snow were rolled up. If life is just like the first time we met, why would the autumn wind be so sad as to draw a fan? How much sorrow can you have? It's like a river of spring water flowing eastward. On those rocks and cliffs, along with a poem carved by Li Congxin, every word from the Wen Shen and Zi Shen is breathing the supreme truth and the strongest spiritual essence of Confucianism and Taoism. Soon, this majestic mountain peak was surrounded and wrapped by a thick layer of literary power. This Iran Peak is not only a place of immortality, but also a sacred place of Confucianism and Taoism. Half a day later, in the evening, under the twilight, a jujube horse incense carriage arrived in front of the mountain gate of Taigan Holy Land. A white and slender hand opened the bead curtain, and an elegant woman stepped out of the incense carriage. Standing outside the mountain gate, he bowed to the two grand masters guarding the gate. My little girl, Mo Xiangran, came to visit the Holy Sun on the order of Her Majesty the Queen. Next, her treatment was completely different from Wen Ren, who rushed up the mountain. He was immediately respectfully invited into the mountain gate, and an old man with white beard and fairy spirit came to greet him. That was a highly respected senior in Taigan Holy Land. Elder Li Tianxin, the Empress of the Shifang dynasty, is the eldest lady of Taigan Holy Land. She came here on Li Tianxin's order and has Li Tianxin's token, so she is naturally treated as a distinguished guest. Miss Mo is a rare visitor. Elder Yi looked very kind, looked at Mo Xiangran, and thought to himself, hey, the eldest lady has good eyesight, and she is worthy of being said to be extremely talented. This girl is really good, she is as beautiful as a lotus, elegant and charming, and her manners have an elegance and pure spirit of mountains and rivers. This girl must be sent by the eldest lady to be the daughter-in-law of the Holy Sun, right? But doesn't the Holy Sun already have a fiancé? That fiancé has not yet married, and a girl of destiny and his little cousin with invincible talent have already moved into his Iran Peak. Why is another one sent? Envy. This young man is really enjoying himself. Hey, but what's the problem? They are the Holy Son of Taiqian Holy Land, the Son of the World, and the Son of the World. It's only right for them to have several wives. It's not surprising that he would think so, because everyone in Taiqian Holy Land knows that Li Congxin's two powerful and wealthy sisters love and pamper him more than his overlord father. Miss, please follow me. The more amiable Elder Yi led the way in front, and as he walked, he asked, Miss, are you married yet? That the old immortal in the eyes of the world is still gossipy. Mo Xiangran was stunned by the question. With a faint smile, reporting to the senior, Xiangran is not married. Elder E immediately understood, and smiled, our holy son is not bad. Mo Xiangran. Everyone knows that your holy son is a super waste, the kind who is not good at anything, and it is said that he is very afraid of death. In addition to family background, what else is good? Well, but it is true, this terrifying family background alone is enough to cover everything. Seeing that she did not respond, Elder E tried again, does the girl have a lover? Mo Xiangran was a little speechless, but because the other party was a senior master, he could only continue to answer, smiling, not yet. Elder E smiled in his heart, and as expected, he smiled even more, our holy son is really good. He wanted to let the girl have a good impression of his holy son in advance, but it obviously backfired. Mo Xiangran frowned slightly, why does this old man look a little malicious? Oh, I see. After this short exchange, she had an idea in her mind, the holy son of Taijian, Li Congxin, seemed to be a frivolous and dissolute person, especially obsessed with beauty. In addition, he often used his power to network beautiful women everywhere. Otherwise, his men would not be so eager to introduce themselves when they saw her for the first time. For a moment, she couldn't help but feel a little disgusted. Soon, Elder E sent her to the foot of Iran Peak, and smiled meaningfully, the holy son likes quietness. People of my level need to be more conscious. Girl, next, you will go up the mountain by yourself. Others are going up the mountain to see the holy son. Why is he, an old guy, interfering? As a man, one must have a sense of propriety. Mo Xiangran was shocked, your level? A strong man at the peak of the holy realm, who is one step away from becoming a quasi-emperor, actually claims that his status is too humble and unworthy to go up the mountain to see Li Congxin. He couldn't help but think in his heart, that holy son of Taijian, Elder E seems to be very respectful and afraid of him. Could it be that this person is also a violent and cruel evil man who likes to bully others? But it's normal to think about it. After all, he is the son of the extremely domineering Emperor Heba, who is known for his fierceness and tyranny, like father, like son. Thank you for seeing me off. She bowed to Elder E, and then walked to Iran Peak alone. The beautiful figure disappeared in the thick spiritual mist. Ha! On the way up the mountain, Mo Xiangran took a breath of encouragement. Somewhat uneasy, this time, Li Tianxin literally asked her to learn from Li Congxin about the art of ruling the country, but Li Congxin was a useless person, so, she, who was extremely intelligent, could only understand it this way. Her Majesty's intention should be to let her be Li Congxin's teacher and teach him. Such a person is useless, and you can't afford to offend him, so how can you teach him? That when she thought that she would face a playboy who was unlearned, lustful, and cruel after going up the mountain, Mo Xiangran rubbed her temples and felt annoyed, but just as she walked up the mountain, she was suddenly shocked. She just stopped where she was, raised her face, and stood on the mountain path for a long time. Chapter 50 Who is so talented? You are listening at novelfull.audio. Looking back at the chaotic mountains, I can't see my old friends, only clouds. Who is like the pine trees on Iran Mountain? They are tall and straight. They welcome guests from the west and send them off. Looking back at the chaotic mountains. Mo Xiangran stood on the scenic mountain road, chanting softly. Her face was fascinated. In front of her, the words engraved on the stone beside the mountain road immediately attracted her, who was known for her talent. In this world, all cultivators blindly pursue the strength of their bodies and souls. The way of Confucianism has long been lonely. She didn't expect to see such beautiful poems on Iran Peak. She whispered, the words are beautiful, the poems are beautiful, and the artistic conception is beautiful. As she watched, her body trembled slightly again. Every word in the poem seemed to contain a powerful divine power, constantly involving her thoughts and bringing her into the artistic conception of the poem. Unable to help herself, she looked back and saw the mountain stretching across, and in her eyes was a vast sea of clouds, and no human traces could be seen. Then look up, in her mind, a scene has already emerged. On the mountain road, there is a graceful man, he is amazing and elegant. Like a green pine on the mountain, standing tall, welcoming and seeing off the guests, smiling at her, looking regretful, and hopeful, but unfortunately, it was just a fantasy of artistic conception, and there was no person in the painting in her eyes. As her heart moved, boom. Under the perception of artistic conception, she was shining with moving brilliance, boom. Once again, a dazzling light rushed out, introduced into the artistic conception of the poem. Under the influence, her cultivation advanced, she was smart and gained understanding, and broke the mirror directly. Mo Xiangran, who was originally at the 8th level of the soul-shaping realm, has reached the 1st level of the martial king realm in a moment. She couldn't help but be overjoyed. Which Confucian and Taoist master engraved this poem, which actually contains such a powerful power, making her feel like she had gained a fortune when she watched it, because she is one of the rare Confucian and Taoist practitioners, practicing Confucianism and Taoism, with talent in the body. Poems can kill enemies, lyrics can destroy armies, and articles can bring peace to the world. Confucianism and Taoism do not cultivate the body and soul, but comprehend talent and gain cultivation from it. It is easy to understand, just like the more profound knowledge and the higher the cultural level, the stronger the realm of cultivation. Of course, if you can create literary talent, you can gain more cultivation. You can gain a lot of cultivation by creating an excellent poem. If you can create a masterpiece that amazes everyone, you can even ascend to heaven in one step and step directly into the realm of saints. The saints of Confucianism and Taoism are equivalent to the existence of the emperor in martial arts. The poem is called to the visitors, so the author of this poem is naturally the owner of this Iran peak. Enjoy. Mo Xiangran couldn't help but look stunned. The owner of this place is not Li Congxin, the son of Taiqian saint. How is this possible? No, no. Shaking his head, he immediately gave up the idea. How could that useless boy have such talent? Presumably, it was created by the previous owner of this mountain before Li Congxin was born. He collected his thoughts and continued to walk up the mountain. He had only taken a few steps. He was shocked again, his eyes were fixed, and his face was infatuated. Even, his expression gradually turned into surprise, excitement, and high spirits. Looking at the poem on the stone wall, the elegance of the ages is here now, and you should not give up your millions of fame. The king has 3,000 states. How can a sparrow know a swan? The goddess of heaven originally came out of the helmet. But you laugh at the fact that Lucy is as big as a bucket. Are you willing to try your hand with a butcher knife? Longevity, 2 jade cups. Because I don't know the allusions in the poem, I can't understand it completely, but a kind of artistic conception still surges up, and for a moment, my heart is passionate and heroic, and it is heart-wrenching. Boom. Mo Xiangran's whole body shuddered, and her cultivation broke through 3 levels again. Martial King Realm, level 4. Under the surprise, she was more shocked and incredible. Taiqian Holy Land, no wonder it is regarded as the most sacred, mysterious and supreme place by the world. This place actually has such a peerless poem engraved on it. If the creator is a Confucianist or Taoist, with this article, I'm afraid he can step into the quasi-sainthood in one step. Shocked, she murmured to herself, the elegance of the ages is here now, and the millions of fame should not be wrested. Who is it? What kind of amazing person can write such a quatrain? What a pity. It's a pity that the ancients have passed away and are not in the same era as me. I can't see the peerless style of the gentleman. Mo Xiangran showed regret. She still believed that this was also the last song left by the previous owner of this peak. In the past, she boasted of her talent, but at this moment, compared with the person who engraved the poem, Mo Xiangran only had 8 words in her heart. I am ashamed of myself and I bow down to worship. Even if I stand on tiptoe, I can't compare with him. With a look of longing on her face, she stood in front of the stone wall, unwilling to leave for a long time, but in the end, she chose to move forward, but she didn't walk far before she stopped again, looking at the stone wall in front of her. Her expression was stupid again. On her beautiful face, she began to show a sad autumn and spring look, and her eyes were sad. If life is just like the first sight, why does the autumn wind make the fan sad? The first sentence of the long poem on the stone wall drew her entire emotion into it, and a sadness surged from her heart, unable to extricate herself. Boom. In the artistic conception, Missouri Xiangran didn't even notice that her cultivation had improved again. If life is just like the first sight, if life is just like the first sight. Yes, that would be great. It would always be the most beautiful moment, without the separation of relatives, the hatred of friends, and the love between lovers. Mo Xiangran walked in slowly, stroking the words on the stone wall with her slender jade fingers, feeling that every word was full of sadness. She was immersed in the artistic conception, and every time she moved her lotus steps, a teardrop fell from her eyes. What kind of sentimental person can write such a sad sentence? People lingered in front of the stone wall. A piece of stone wall was touched back and forth by her more than 10 times. After a long time, she left reluctantly, but she had just taken a few steps. Ask the world, what is love? It makes people promise to live and die. Boom. The brain was hit by a critical hit, boom. At the same time, Mo Xiangran, who was shining with a dazzling upgrade light, trembled, and instantly fell into the artistic conception of poetry. She squatted on the ground, covered her face and cried sadly. That look made her look like she had lost her state. Next, after seeing several poems in a row, Mo Xiangran had forgotten what she came for. She was seen wandering around Iran Peak with a dazed look on her face like a fool, looking for places with cliffs and rocks everywhere. She was looking for poems that were either full of passion, or melancholy and sad, or beautiful. What kind of extraordinary talent can write so many masterpieces? No, it's a masterpiece. It's a masterpiece for all ages. That she had reached the peak of the Grandmaster realm and was about to enter the Grandmaster realm. She was like a lost wandering soul, still whispering to herself, if I can see this person once, even if my beauty is consumed in an instant, my black hair turns white and drifts away, I am willing to do so. Until she was awakened by a burst of music. Who is playing the music? Mo Xiangran was surprised. She quickly cleared her mind, lowered her eyelashes slightly, and listened carefully. The music was extremely beautiful and melodious, and could even pull people into a state of emotional sadness. But, Mo Xiangran was proud of being proficient in all the musical instruments in the world, but she couldn't tell what kind of instrument the sound was from. After careful listening, it was a bit similar to the dulcimer, but it was more ethereal, soft, and crisp than the dulcimer. To be able to play such beautiful music, he must be a person of extraordinary talent and elegance. Could it be that the predecessor who created those poems is not dead, but still lives on Iran Peak? Thinking of this, she felt incomparable excitement in her heart. She quickly tidied up her hair and makeup, and then walked towards the sound of the piano. But it was half an incense stick of time ago. In the pavilion, Li Congxin, who had just come back from a walk, had just sat down, but stood up again. A thoughtful look appeared on his face. He admitted that he was used to suffering in his previous life and had never experienced a leisurely life. Before, he just wanted to lie down and play, but after a period of graffiti all over the mountain, now, Li Congxin feels that pursuing a higher quality of lying down is the real enjoyment of life. Lying down and playing is not only about eating, drinking and sleeping, but also listening to music in the brothel, singing freely with wine, cleansing the soul with poetry, cultivating sentiments with music, etc., which are more advanced enjoyments. Li Congxin suddenly had an idea, wanting to learn from the ancients to sit quietly in the pavilion, play the piano and zither, and sing in the bamboo forest. The thought just came together. Ding! The system is being upgraded. The system has been successfully upgraded. Reminder, you have obtained the title of God of Music. Reminder, you have obtained the title of God of Song. Li Congxin showed an imperceptible smile on his face. He just got the title of God of Literature and God of Writing, and now he has become the God of Music and Song. His system neither issues tasks to the host nor sets difficulty. He is not willing to give in to anyone and will fight with anyone. 2 words, fun. Whatever you think of, it will come true. It is simply a wish-making system.